Hello and welcome to the 808 Drones DJI FPV Drone canopy wrap installation video. That was a mouthful. So in today's video we're going to show you how to install the wrap on the canopy following a procedure that will get you the best results possible. So to start, you want to have on hand some cleaning solution like rubbing alcohol with a clean cloth, a 1.5mm hex driver to remove the canopy from the drone if you're using the one that's on the drone, a sharp pointy blade like this one to be able to trim the wrap because it will need to be trimmed after we finish installing it, and you might need a card like this in order to get in some of the deep recesses, but likely not, but I'll have that on hand just in case we need that. So to start, we're going to remove the wrap from the backer sheet and lay it flat on a clean dry surface. Just grab it from the side here. Just be careful when you pull this thing off that you don't let the glue fall back onto itself, because that would cause a little bit of a hassle to correct. Okay, put this out of the way here. I'm going to put this down flat. Another use for your screwdriver here will be to help release it from your fingers. Alright, so we see this V in the front. That's the center line. That's a relief cut in order to accommodate the tapering of the canopy at the front here. So that center line will be along that V, will have to be pulled across the front to make that center line. And the back is the center line here. So on the canopy itself you can see there's some detents there in the front and in the back to kind of give you an idea where the center is. So we're going to use that as our reference and position it both this way and this way on the wrap to get that as close to center as possible. The wrap is a little bit big, so there's a bit of room to be off a little bit, and it still won't mess up your installation that much, but try to be as accurate as possible. We'll want to have a little bit of the vinyl sticking out the back here, and the rest will be sticking out the front. So it's going to line that up nice and straight. Just kind of position it there just to get it tacked on there. We'll flip it over. This next step is kind of the most critical step of the whole thing to have the best result. You want to make sure that you now get this V aligned properly so that it's down the center line. So you have to lift it back a little bit now and then pull it forward and try to get that right down the middle. And then you're going to see both pieces are going to line up there. So now that we have it kind of centered, this piece is okay. These long wrinkles here are fine. We're going to pull those out in a minute. So it's okay if you have a wrinkle from the beginning here. We'll just lift this up. I'll show you right now. Kind of lift it, and I'm just going to keep that on the center line here. We're just going to pull that wrinkle out by stretching the vinyl very slightly away from the center. Just like that. Alright, so now this side here, same thing. We've got a tiny wrinkle in the middle there. We'll try to pull that out in a second. So you're going to want to pull this back now again, right to that middle part where that wrinkle is. We'll pull that wrinkle out, and we're going to line this up down the center. Just gentle pull forward to get that to be nice and straight, and then we're going to try and get that wrinkle out the back now. So we'll lift this up. Now that we have that V in place, we're going to lift this up, pull this gently back, and just a very gentle pull here to get this out. Okay, that looks good. So it's okay if we have these long wrinkles. We're gonna, like I said, we're going to work those off the sides. Now that we have this in place, we'll go to the side here, pull back, just like that. See, I got the glue on itself there a little bit. Now lift this up again, pull. Now you can see all the wrinkles are kind of coming out there. One little one here, we'll be able to pull that one back. Alright, so just take your time. This first part is the most important part on the top here to get a nice clean look. And then once you have that kind of positioned properly, you can start to pull in different directions. This one here I can actually pull a little bit more overlapping, so just like that, just to make up that extra material that's going to be in the front here. Pull this forward now, and let's just keep working our way down slowly, just pulling each direction away from the middle to remove all those wrinkles that are going to be formed by pulling on there. So when we're pulling, we're just pulling about, just about 1 millimeter's worth, just enough to stretch it, just enough to get those wrinkles out. Don't go crazy and start pulling too hard, because you'll end up with really deep wrinkles you won't be able to get out, and the material will get really thin. So just take your time and don't pull too much at once. Okay, that's good. Looking good here. Now we're going to work down this middle here, pulling nice flat surface here, and I'm going to pull this back a bit and pull forward. The idea here, when you have extra material, you want to kind of spread it across evenly in 2 different directions at once. So I'm pulling down the middle, and I'll make up this difference over here. I'll pull this extra material forward, just like that. So get rid of all those wrinkles. Right, now we're at the bottom here. You can tell here I'm a little short on the wrap's a little short. Doesn't cover the rest of the canopy, which is fine. You just reposition that by pulling that up, and then pulling a little more forward instead of downward to get that vinyl to reach the front part, and then we can lift it and pull it back at the same time. So now I'm stretching a little bit extra to get that to conform. I'll go forward a little bit here. This front edge here is going to be covered by the gimbal protector, so it's okay if you're not completely wrapping around the front there, because we're going to be trimming that off anyways, because the gimbal protector does cover that whole front edge. Okay, so that's good. So now we've got this side stretched nicely with no wrinkles. So that took a few minutes, but the results are much better if you just take your time, like I said. And now I'm going to go back to this side now and finish installing this side. So now we got to work these other wrinkles from the top again. So we have to go back to the middle, pull this wrap right back. The center line here, I'm just going to lift it. Once it's off, I'm going to pull it and pull. Gently, just to get those out of there. And then just work your way down the same way, just gently pulling, and reposition if you have to get those wrinkles out. Gently pulling, so that looks really good. Our way down this way. Got wrinkles forming this way, so that means I have to pull forward to get these out. So we're just going to lift this up. You want to pull kind of perpendicular to those wrinkles. So if you see wrinkles forming, you want to lift and pull kind of perpendicular away from that ridge. That will help to remove that wrinkle completely. Don't pull along the wrinkle, like parallel to it, because it'll make it worse. Okay, there we go, perfect. Another one here. This back section looks really good. I got one little wrinkle there. I can just push that one out. Alright. Now, last part down here, lift it up again and just kind of reposition it. Okay. Perfect. Alright, so there we go. Now we've got it on there with no wrinkles. This little one on top, I should be able to just push out, actually just work my way forward and backwards and just work that one out a little bit. So now we've got it installed everywhere without any wrinkles in it. The last little one here, I'm just going to pull out backwards. Perfect. So now we have to trim it. So before we trim it, we're actually going to stretch the vinyl along the outside edge just to help it conform to that hard edge on the outside. So I'm just going to pull and stretch it a little bit. You can actually see it kind of curl around the back a little bit. Go around, do that real quick. Just quickly kind of go around the entire outside edge here and just do that. If you pull too hard, it will tear, but it's not a huge problem because you're pulling downwards. It'll tear along that on that edge, so it's not going to cause too many problems as long as you don't pull straight out, because then you can tear into the graphics, so that's what you don't want to do. Alright, so now we've got that all installed. Stretched over here, around the back. This back section we can actually fold over if you want, but I like to trim it just because I find it gets a better finish since that folded edge will still be visible. Alright, now we're just going to take the blade and go in and just score along this outside edge. And don't worry if you have a little bit of a jagged edge. I got a little bubble here, so I'm going to push that one out. Don't worry if you have a tiny little bit of a jagged edge, because actually that edge will then also fold over. So I'm just going to pull this piece off here. So here you can just fold this back around the outside edge. Same thing here. I'm going to stretch it a little bit and then come back, score that with the blade. And once you have a tear line, you can just follow that tear line by just pulling along that edge, by pulling down behind it. And as I mentioned, you can see here I have some pretty jagged edges here. I just fold those over. They just disappear completely. Alright. Into this corner here, we're going to use a blade to cut a nice clean cut in there. And then back here, it's not critical again. We can trim this and a little score line across there, and then just fold that excess around the back. Alright, good. Same thing over here. Small incision. In this curved part, we want to stretch a little bit more here. We want to get that to stretch right around that. Then I'll come back and just give that a little cut like that. So I can see, I can just pull it and it just finishes that edge nicely. Same thing here. Okay, this part takes a few minutes to trim it properly. I'm going to cut through here. Just a little nick, and then I can just pull that down. Just like that. Alright. So we're going to continue to do this all the way around the whole outside surface here. And I'll come back in a second and give you some pointers on a few things that need to be looked at. So along the front we have all the holes for the gimbal protector, so those need to be left open. So we're going to come back and make sure those are open, but I'm just going to finish trimming this over here. Trimming that. Fold this back here. This is around the arms. This won't show. This will be hidden by the arms of the drone. A little score here. And I can pull that, and you see it just tears along that edge because I've already stretched it out. So you get a nice clean finish there. Perfect. So now let's work on the front here. We've got these holes for the screw, so those have to be cut. So we're going to pull this back, stretch this a little bit more. So like I said, this whole edge is about 1 millimeter or 2 that we covered by the gimbal protector, so you don't have to be super concerned here. Where you want to be concerned is up top here. There are 2 holes on each side, So if you feel that little lip, just trim around the inside of that lip all the way around there, and then right through here, because that lip actually has little holes in it that are required to be open for the gimbal protector to lock into. So that's the key here. So pull this back, you'll see it in a second, I'll get it on camera. There we go, so that's perfect. So you can see here now I've got these 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those have to be left open because the gimbal protector locks into those. And there's also 2 more holes down here, left and right. They're also required to be open for the gimbal protector to be able to attach to that. So last part that's left here is just the front where I have this other screw hole. I'm just going to pull this part of the wrap back, fold this part over. So that's it, the way it is now. Even with this jagged edge here, it's going to be hidden behind the gimbal protector. That'll be perfect. So we've got basically a perfect install here with no wrinkles, creases. I've got one little line in the middle here from the seam that we had to create for that relief, and otherwise it's just like a paint job on your canopy. So hopefully this was helpful, and if you have any questions, send an email to support@808drones.com and I can give you some more tips and tricks, but I think this should cover most of the things you need to know to get a successful install of this wrap on your canopy. Thanks for watching and happy flying. So I've had a few people call me and email me regarding this installation after they watched the video and tried to do it themselves, and they were saying that this part here is a bit challenging to do and get it looking this clean because you have to get it pretty much right on from the beginning to get it right. So if you're worried about that and you're not getting good results, what you could do before you try to install this is actually to take some scissors and cut the wrap down the middle here into 2 pieces, and then you can start with one side down the middle, the other side down the middle, and not have to worry as much about this particular area here. So just a tip, I might actually change the wrap design, actually make it into 2 pieces. Although I like the look of a 1 piece, I think it's a little bit more difficult to install for some people, and I want this to be easy to do. And so if you're concerned about your skills or ability to kind of follow through with this, what this video shows, then you may want to just cut this wrap in half right from the beginning and install it into 2 separate pieces to help you with that install, to make this little section here a little bit more easy to manage. But otherwise, if you follow the video, you should have pretty good results and you should have no issues getting all the wrinkles and stuff out. But this is the only spot here where it's a little bit more challenging based on some feedback I received from some of the users of this wrap. So if you think that'll be a concern for you, then just go ahead and just cut that in half. Alright, thanks for watching.